My name is Steve Dersch. I'm a family practice physician in Florence, South Carolina. Why do I love medical missions? Well, I love practicing medicine. I've wanted to be a doctor for about as long as I can remember wanting to be anything at all. But the whole missions thing I was really not so sure about. I remember in college, God really challenged me about the possibility of medical missions, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do, and frankly, really rather frightened me. The only thing I knew about medical missions were visions of David Livingstone hacking his way through the jungles of Africa. That didn't seem very appealing to me, but I knew Christ deserved my complete loyalty and obedience, and I ultimately told God that if He really wanted me as a medical missionary, I would do it, but He should be under no illusions about my desire to go. Well, fast forward about 15 years, I'd finished medical school and residency and established a private practice and established a family. The Lord had put my wife and I in a young, small church where we were very involved, and that was really what I'd wanted to do all along. One summer, we took the church teams to the wilds for camp, and I ran into a friend from college. We were in the same pre-med class, and he had ultimately gone on to dental school. He told me about this medical missions organization he was involved in and how much he loved it, and really encouraged me to look into it. I was interested, but very busy, and it kind of got put on the back burner. But 2 or 3 years later, back at camp again with the teens, and I found myself talking with Tom Farrell, who was preaching there that week. When he found out I was a physician, he strongly encouraged me to look into Operation Renewed Hope. So my first trip with ORH was in 2012 to India. I then took a trip to Uganda in 2013 and Albania in 2014, and I just got back from Cambodia this past January. The more I go, the more I love it. First of all, I love the opportunity to practice medicine for free, to give my skills away to people who really need it. You get a tremendous blessing by giving away your time and knowledge in the name of Jesus to people who desperately need and really want but can't get what you have to offer. From a strictly professional standpoint, it's really fascinating to see diseases and conditions that you've only read about in textbooks, some of which you haven't even studied, some second-year pathology and parasitology. When you have limited technology to fall back on, it's professionally challenging and rewarding to diagnose and solve problems and diseases using your basic clinical skills and really basic tests and treatments. It's also humbling to face so clearly my inadequacy as a physician in so many situations, and that always ends up driving me to the Lord for His wisdom and help and perspective on the service that I do offer. I also love knowing that my medical skills are creating an opportunity for people to hear a straightforward, unashamed, but unpressured gospel presentation, especially to people who might otherwise never have a chance or would never listen to a Christian. This is what I really appreciate about Operation Renewed Hope. Their desire is to show the love of Christ to get a hearing for the gospel of Christ. They don't water down the gospel or soft pedal it or its demands, but they also don't manipulate or cajole people into listening or making a decision. Finally, I really love meeting and working with believers from other countries. It is a privilege and a blessing to get to know the translators and the missionaries and the local pastors, to serve with them and to pray with them, to eat and talk with them, to learn about their country and culture, to hear their testimonies of how Christ saved them and how He preserved them through difficult times and even through outright persecution. I always come away challenged and rebuked, but glorifying God for the spread of His kingdom throughout the world. That's why I love medical missions. So if you're listening to this and, like me, you're a Christian who's been a little unsure, a little frightened, maybe just a little too busy to consider medical missions, let me encourage you to prayerfully but seriously consider going on just one trip with ORH. Though it is without a doubt challenging, I think you'll probably find it's not as overwhelming as you might think. and I'm certain you will be blessed by the experience.